the sports world is in absolute meltdown. Not because Caitlyn Clark signed another endorsement, not because she broke another record, but because Gatorade just handed her a $50 million deal. And the truth behind why she got it has sent shockwaves through the entire WNBA. This is not a normal sponsorship. This is not a routine contract. This is a power shift, the kind that only happens once every decade. Because the moment that $50 million figure leaked, insiders started whispering the same thing. Gatorade didn't pay Caitlyn Clark for who she is. They paid her because of what she's about to do. And that is where the drama explodes. Before fans could even celebrate, Angel Reese, Caitlyn's biggest on-court rival and one of the WNBA's rising superstars, went silent on social media. Not congratulatory, not sarcastic, not indifferent, just silent. Then, out of nowhere, Angel posted a cryptic quote. Funny how the truth always comes out. No context, no explanation, no emojis. Just a cold, sharp line that instantly set the internet on fire. And people immediately began speculating. What truth? Is Angel saying this deal was rigged? Did Gatorade use Caitlyn to push an agenda? Why does Angel look this upset? Did she get offered something smaller? And then the real bomb dropped. A leaked internal report revealed that Gatorade executives had been discussing Caitlyn Clark months before the announcement. Not just as an athlete, but as a long-term face of the brand, that as someone they believed could reshape the entire landscape of women's sports endorsements. That means the deal wasn't spontaneous. It wasn't sudden. It wasn't based on one season. It was strategic. And worse? Angel Reese was never in the running. Not once. Not at any stage. Despite her championship win, despite her massive fan base, despite her viral moments. Some insiders claim Angel found out the same moment the public did. And the betrayal, the politics, and the favoritism fueling this contract are much darker than anyone realizes. From the moment Caitlyn Clark and Angel Reese stepped into the national spotlight, their rivalry was never just about basketball. It wasn't just about points, wins, championships, or highlights. It was about identity, marketability, media narratives, and the billion-dollar forces shaping women's sports from behind the scenes. People think this rivalry began during the NCAA tournament, the trash talk, the viral gestures, the rematch tension. But the truth? It started long before that. It started the moment major brands realized women's basketball was about to explode, and they needed to pick a face, a leader, a chosen one, to build their entire marketing strategy around. And from the beginning, every signal pointed to Caitlyn Clark. When she was still a sophomore, brand executives were already circling her games. Nike sent scouts. ESPN ran highlight packages for weeks. Every time Caitlyn hit a logo three, social media treated her like the next Steph Curry. Women who had never watched college basketball suddenly knew her name. Men who hadn't followed the sport since Diana Taurasi were re-watching her plays. Caitlyn wasn't just an athlete. She was becoming a phenomenon. Meanwhile, Angel Reese was rising on a parallel track. Loud, charismatic, unstoppable on the glass, dripping with personality the media couldn't ignore. She had star power. She had cultural influence. She had presence. But while her fan base was massive, brands weren't building long-term blueprints around her in the same quiet, secretive way they did with Caitlyn. This wasn't about skill. It wasn't about race. It wasn't about attitude. It was about narrative control. Because Caitlyn Clark wasn't just marketable. She was predictably marketable. Smooth interviews, clean PR history, apolitical, Middle America appeal, a style of play that matched highlight reels. A story arc brands could mold into whatever they wanted. Gatorade wasn't just looking for a star, they were looking for a legacy investment, a generational face, someone who could sell anything from sneakers to sports drinks to documentaries. And insiders now say Gatorade began planning the Caitlyn Clark campaign more than 18 months before the deal leaked. Meaning, nothing Angel Reese did, not the championship, not the celebrity friendships, not the viral TikToks, ever changed who Gatorade was building its future around. They had already picked Caitlyn. But here's where things get dark. When word got out that brands were funneling millions into future Caitlyn campaigns, a few WNBA insiders urged Gatorade to include Angel Reese in the mix. A dual-face strategy that would mirror Magic versus Bird, Federer versus Nadal, Serena versus Sharapova. You'd think that was the perfect marketing move, right? Two stars, two rival fan bases. It's a massive cultural crossover. Gatorade declined. They wanted one face, one focal point, one iconic athlete who would define the next decade of women's sports. It had to be Caitlyn. And Angel? She was never told she wasn't being considered. She was never offered a smaller deal. She wasn't even contacted. She found out the same way the public did, from the headlines. And sources close to Angel say she was blindsided and furious, not because Caitlyn got paid. Angel has always publicly congratulated other women, but because of what the deal represented. In Angel's mind, and in the minds of many around her, this wasn't Gatorade celebrating the growth of women's sports. This was Gatorade picking a side, rewarding one narrative, elevating one personality, ignoring the cultural shift Angel herself created. Because whether people like to admit it or not, Angel Reese changed the energy of the sport. She brought hip-hop culture into arenas. She brought celebrity energy into tunnels. She brought trash talk back into women's basketball and made it fun. She brought millions of new Black fans into a space that never catered to them. She became a cultural icon, not just an athlete. But Gatorade didn't want a cultural icon. They wanted a global product. And Caitlyn was the safer investment. So when the $50 million figure leaked, a number unheard of in women's sports, Angel wasn't just upset. She felt disrespected, especially because someone inside the industry leaked the ugliest part. Gatorade executives allegedly referred to Angel as too unpredictable for long-term branding. Unpredictable? You mean charismatic, competitive, unfiltered, human? Of course Angel was furious. But then came the real slap in the face. A second leak revealed that Gatorade's internal presentations for the campaign described Caitlyn Clark as America's next sweetheart of sports. And right below it, a note that insiders claim Angel saw. Alternative personalities pose higher risk. Branding avoids controversial archetypes. Everyone knew exactly what they meant. Angel wasn't controversial. She was confident. She was expressive. She was unapologetically herself. But to corporate rooms full of executives who don't understand the sport, Angel wasn't brand safe. Fans exploded online. Angel made women's basketball fun again. She deserved a seat at the table. This is straight up erasure. So they only want one kind of athlete? Gatorade used Angel's impact to sell Caitlyn's deal. And the tension only grew when Angel posted her now viral quote. Funny how the truth always comes out. Because that wasn't random. An insider's claim Angel had seen the internal Gatorade documents, or someone close to her showed them. And she realized the entire industry had been undermining her while praising her publicly. Brands loved using Angel for clicks, views, headlines, and drama. They just didn't want to pay her for it. But the most revealing part? Gatorade's deal wasn't just to make Caitlyn Clark a spokesperson. It was to make her the face of a massive overhaul in how the company markets women's sports. But meaning, Caitlyn wasn't signing a deal. She was becoming a corporate partnership, a franchise, a future media empire. And that empire had no space for Angel Reese. This wasn't personal. This was structural, calculated, designed long before Angel or Caitlyn ever became national superstars. Angel realized the truth. Caitlyn didn't steal anything. The industry handed it to her before Angel even had a chance to compete. And Angel Reese had been simmering for hours, and the longer she stayed silent, the more the pressure inside her chest climbed. She watched the entire internet explode over Caitlyn Clark's $50 million Gatorade deal, watched analysts describe it as historic, watched brands gush over Caitlyn like she single-handedly reinvented women's sports. But behind Angel's silence was something deeper, sharper, heavier than jealousy or rivalry. It was humiliation. And not because Caitlyn got paid. Angel wanted Caitlyn to win. She said that over and over. But Angel couldn't ignore the truth that suddenly made everything click. Brands had been planning Caitlyn's rise while using Angel's fire, energy, and personality to keep women's basketball alive. Angel wasn't overlooked. She was exploited. And now that she finally understood that, she wasn't holding back anymore. The first spark of the explosion came when Angel posted a single photo. Her sitting courtside, expression straight, phone in hand, with the caption, "Don't play with me." 5 minutes later, she deleted it, but the damage was already done. Screenshots spread like wildfire. Comment sections erupted. Sports commentators started hitting record. TikTok creators started breaking down every word Angel had ever said about the industry. And in the middle of all that chaos, the first major twist leaked. Someone anonymously posted what they claimed was a transcript from an internal Gatorade strategy meeting. A meeting held 6 months before Caitlyn entered the WNBA. The transcript was blurry, partial, and heavily redacted, but there was enough text visible to send fans into an absolute meltdown. The line that broke the internet read, "Clark is the long-term face. Reese is high engagement but unpredictable. I avoid anchoring major campaigns around her narrative. Unpredictable. Avoid. Do not anchor." Angel's worst fears were confirmed in 3 simple lines. She was never the problem. The industry just wanted someone they could control. Someone non-controversial. Someone quiet. Someone who represented a safe, wholesome American archetype. Yes, that phrase was in the leaked document. Angel was heartbroken. But the heartbreak quickly turned into anger. And that anger turned into strategy. Just when people thought Angel was done speaking, she posted again. This time on her Instagram story. "You love my personality until it's time to pay for it." The entire sports world screamed. Because Angel wasn't just calling out Gatorade anymore. She was calling out all brands, all the networks, all the executives who cheered when she brought attention to the game but never rewarded her place in it. Meanwhile, Caitlyn Clark was in a completely different emotional universe. Caitlyn wasn't celebrating. She wasn't dancing. She wasn't even posting. According to insider sources, Caitlyn was conflicted and uncomfortable because she had no idea about the internal bias revealed in the leaked documents. Caitlyn had built her reputation on talent, not favoritism. So seeing herself framed as a corporate product shook her more than fans realized. But the internet didn't care about Caitlyn's discomfort. They only cared about the next wave of leaks. And the next leak was the one that cracked everything open. Another document surfaced, this time from a marketing firm that partnered with Gatorade. It contained a bullet point list titled, "Projected Brand Outcomes, Clark versus Reese." The comparison was brutal. Clark, high trust score, multi-demographic appeal, low PR risk, family-safe branding, corporate-friendly style, predictable image trajectory. Reese, high virality score, deep cultural influence, unfiltered communication, polarizing but magnetic. High risk, high reward, strong urban market impact. But the final line was the one that sent fans into rage mode. Recommendation: retain Clark as the long-term anchor. Utilize Reese for short-term momentum only. Utilize. Short-term. Momentum. Angel wasn't just sidelined. She was being treated like a temporary marketing prop. Fans went absolutely insane. She carried the entire culture and y'all want to use her? They want Angel's influence but Caitlyn's face. This is straight-up corporate bias. Angel deserves the same bag. But what nobody expected was the industry response. A Gatorade executive, anonymously, of course, messaged a sports journalist explaining the real reason Caitlyn got the massive deal. It isn't about favoritism. It's about who brands can control for 10+ years without controversy. Angel saw the quote, and that was the moment she snapped. She finally went live. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't angry. It wasn't unhinged. It was controlled, calm, cold. The kind of tone that tells you someone is done protecting people who never protected them. Angel said, "I've been carrying the culture, carrying the views, carrying the engagement, and every time I step out of line even a little, I'm called too much. But let's be real. Y'all love too much when it's making you money." Her audience exploded. Angel continued, "I know exactly why I wasn't chosen. And guess what? I don't need to be their chosen girl. I built something they can't control." Boom. That wasn't shade. That wasn't jealousy. That was truth. And while Angel's words were trending, a new twist dropped, one that flipped the entire conversation. A Gatorade whistleblower confirmed that a specific board member pushed hard against signing Angel Reese, saying, "We don't need another athlete who might challenge brand authority." Challenge authority. So the truth was out. Angel didn't lose the deal. Angel scared them. Angel wasn't unpredictable. Angel wasn't high risk. Angel was too powerful, too authentic, too influential, and too culturally dominant. Brands don't like athletes they can't script. And the final twist? The whistleblower also revealed, if Gatorade signed Angel Reese, she would overshadow Caitlyn Clark in every commercial. That was the real fear. Angel wasn't the backup plan. She was the threat. And that is why the $50 million went to Caitlyn. Not because Caitlyn wasn't deserving, but because Angel's star burned too brightly for corporate cameras. Angel Reese sat in her apartment staring at her phone, scrolling through thousands of comments, retweets, reaction videos, podcasts, think pieces, all dissecting her words, her reactions, her legacy. And for the first time since the Gatorade bomb dropped, Angel wasn't emotional. She was focused, sharp, strategic, because she knew something the public didn't. This wasn't the first time a major brand had sidelined her. It was just the first time she decided to fight back publicly. And the moment she chose to speak, the entire sports world shook. But what happened next? That's where the real story begins. Angel had been sitting on something she never intended to release unless it became absolutely necessary. She wasn't petty. She wasn't insecure. But she sure as hell wasn't stupid. She had screenshots, messages, receipts, and she had kept them locked away. Until tonight. The first message she shared privately with her circle, which later leaked to the public, showed a Gatorade representative reaching out months ago, not to offer Angel a deal, but to ask her to join a short-term social engagement push, promoting women's basketball awareness. No money mentioned, no contract, no long-term role. Just, can you do some posts to build buzz? It would help the sport. Angel's reply? Do you want to partner with me or just use my name? They left her unread. The moment that screenshot leaked, the internet detonated. They used her for free promotion? No way they asked her to boost Caitlyn's visibility. So they wanted Angel for labor but not legitimacy? This is disgusting. And then came the second screenshot, the one that flipped everything upside down. An internal Gatorade message forwarded to Angel by someone inside the building saying, Angel's visibility is valuable, but her personality is not brand aligned for long-term campaigns. Focus should remain on Clark. Focus should remain on Clark. Angel read that line over and over until it stopped hurting and started fueling her. When that screenshot leaked, Gatorade went into full-blown crisis mode. Legal team, on standby. PR team, scrambling for statements. Executives, holding emergency calls. Sponsors, demanding clarification. Because they knew Angel wasn't lying. And if she dropped those messages, she could drop more. Behind the scenes, one insider leaked the exact moment Gatorade panicked. Someone in the meeting said, We underestimated Reese. We misjudged how loud her fan base is. Another responded, if she drops more receipts, this deal becomes a controversy instead of a victory. Too late. The controversy had already begun. But the escalation didn't stop with screenshots. It didn't stop with leaked meeting notes. And it definitely didn't stop with corporate panic. No. The next blow came from Caitlyn Clark herself. Up until this moment, Caitlyn had been silent. Not a word about Angel's frustration, not a comment on the leaks, nothing addressing the storm forming around her $50 million deal. But silence only works until the story grows bigger than you. And Caitlyn realized she had a choice. Let the world think she supported corporate favoritism, or step into the fire and risk angering the brand that just paid her $50 million. According to insider reports, Caitlyn held a private phone call with her agent, Gatorade executives, and WNBA representatives. But what shocked everyone wasn't what she said. It was who she defended. During the call, Caitlyn reportedly said, I don't feel comfortable with Angel being treated like a backup plan. She's earned way more respect than this. Gatorade executives were stunned. This was not the narrative they wanted. Caitlyn continued, if you're building something for women's sports, it can't just be about me. An Angel built this movement too. That single sentence sent execs into panic. If Caitlyn publicly aligned with Angel, Gatorade's carefully crafted image strategy could collapse before the campaign even launched. So they tried to stop her. Executives allegedly warned her, stay silent on internal matters. This is not your fight. But Caitlyn wasn't backing down. She knew the truth. Angel Reese wasn't jealous. Angel Reese wasn't bitter. Angel Reese wasn't attacking her. And Angel was fighting an industry that tried to build an empire off both of their backs while only rewarding one of them. But while Caitlyn debated going public, Angel wasn't debating anything. She was loading ammunition. A third leak surfaced. This time, a video clip from a private WNBA endorsement strategy meeting. In it, a brand executive can be heard saying, Clark is essential for corporate partnerships. Reese is essential for clicks. They serve different purposes. The room went silent, and the internet went silent. Angel went live. This time, she didn't hold back. She didn't speak vaguely. She didn't hint. She didn't imply. She told the truth. Angel said, I know what y'all say behind closed doors. I know what y'all think about me. I know how you talk about me in meetings I'm never invited to. But let me say this. I am bigger than your stereotype, bigger than your labels, bigger than the role you try to shove me into. She leaned closer to the camera. And if you don't want me as the face, I'll build my own brand and make you wish you had picked me. Tens of thousands of people watched live. Millions saw the clips within minutes. And just when the internet thought the drama couldn't get any bigger, the shocking reveal leaked. In a confidential document from Gatorade's competitor, a company Angel had worked with in the past, stating they had once planned a major deal for Angel, but pulled out after receiving a risk advisory from an outside marketing firm. The advisory claimed, Reese may overshadow preferred brand ambassadors and alter campaign narratives beyond corporate control. Overshadow. Alter narratives. Beyond control. This wasn't about Angel being too loud. It was about her being too powerful, too influential, too culturally dominant, too unfiltered for brands that want puppet strings. And here's the twist nobody expected. The advisory firm that gave the negative report was the same firm Gatorade hired for Caitlyn Clark's marketing strategy. They were never comparing Angel and Caitlyn. They were eliminating Angel to clear the path. Caitlyn saw the leak. Caitlyn saw the backlash. Caitlyn saw how badly Angel had been treated. And insiders claim Caitlyn sent Angel a private message that simply said, "This wasn't fair to you." Angel replied, "I know, but now the world does too." The moment Angel Reese's livestream ended, the entire sports world flipped upside down. What started as a simple endorsement announcement for Caitlyn Clark turned into one of the biggest culture wars women's basketball has ever seen. A collision of race, branding, favoritism, corporate politics, and two generational superstars trapped in the middle of a billion-dollar battle they didn't create. The reactions weren't mild, they weren't polite, they weren't subtle, they were volcanic. Within minutes, Angel's quotes were everywhere. On ESPN, Fox Sports, TikTok, major radio shows, and hundreds of creator pages. And the responses? They were split right down the middle, and getting uglier by the hour. And the first wave came from fans of Caitlyn Clark. People who genuinely love her game and see her as the future of women's basketball. They flooded X. Caitlyn deserves the deal, she earned it. How is this Caitlyn's fault? Blame the corporations. They're turning a business decision into fake drama. Others defended Angel. Angel carried college basketball culture. Pay her. This industry been picking who they want since day one. They want Caitlyn squeaky clean, but use Angel for clicks. Then NBA players jumped in. Kevin Durant liked a post calling out brands for ignoring Angel's cultural impact. Damian Lillard reposted a clip of Angel saying, "I built something they can't control," adding, "facts." But things went nuclear when a WNBA veteran tweeted, "Brands been using black women's energy while rewarding white athletes for years." Angel just said what everyone been thinking. That tweet alone hit over 8 million views in hours. Gatorade tried to stay silent, tried to disappear, tried to hide behind press releases, but silence only made them look guilty. Especially once sports journalists began digging into the leaked advisory report. The document that labeled Angel Reese as high engagement but unpredictable, while calling Caitlyn Clark ideal for long-term corporate imaging. Nobody expected how fast that leak would spread. Within hours, major commentators were accusing Gatorade of corporate bias and narrative engineering. One popular analyst even said, "Let's be honest, the rivalry made women's basketball explode. And brands love the rivalry, just not the woman driving half the culture." Then came the bomb. A prominent WNBA executive, speaking anonymously, revealed, "Angel Reese was on our internal list for major league branding campaigns. After external brand assessments, she mysteriously dropped off those lists." Fans lost it. So the WNBA let brands dictate who gets promoted. Angel getting blackballed in real time. Caitlyn's rise is real, but the system pushing her is also real. And then, and out of nowhere, a group of retired WNBA legends stepped in. Cheryl Swoops, Candace Parker, Lisa Leslie, all reportedly furious at how brands were framing the situation. One said, "You don't get to profit off Angel's personality while punishing her for it." Another added, "Women's sports has room for both. Corporate bias doesn't." And then, as if the fire needed gasoline, and the viral TikTok dropped showing side-by-side stats of Caitlyn and Angel's NCAA impact. Angel equals viral social traffic. Angel equals highest engagement across platforms. Angel equals cultural icon. Yet she wasn't even considered for the long-term Gatorade anchor. Fans started using a new hashtag. Hashtag Respect Angel Reese. But the final explosion came from Caitlyn Clark herself. She didn't make a statement. She didn't go live. She didn't post a rant. And she simply liked a comment that said, "Angel Reese was treated unfairly. Brands need to do better." Millions saw it. Screenshots flew everywhere. The internet paused, because that wasn't just a like. It was a message. Caitlyn wasn't the villain. Caitlyn wasn't the reason Angel got sidelined. Caitlyn wasn't supporting corporate bias. She was supporting Angel, and that changed everything. Sports analysts began rewriting the narrative. This isn't Caitlyn versus Angel anymore. Yet it's Angel and Caitlyn versus the corporations trying to use them. A podcast went viral after saying, Imagine how powerful women's basketball would be if these two united instead of being pitted against each other. But the moment that truly broke the internet came from a Gatorade whistleblower, the same one who leaked the strategy slides. They said, "You haven't even seen the real reason Angel was rejected. The final report hasn't leaked yet." The final report. Meaning, there's something worse, something deeper, something so damaging Gatorade has been trying to bury it. A reporter asked the whistleblower, "Is it about race?" The whistleblower replied, "It's about control and who they think they can't control." Suddenly, everyone understood. Angel wasn't shut out because she wasn't marketable. She was shut out because she couldn't be molded into a brand-safe puppet. Caitlyn wasn't chosen because Angel wasn't good enough. So Caitlyn was chosen because the brand could shape her image from scratch. This wasn't rivalry. This was corporate engineering. Now the sports world is waiting for one thing: the final leak. The report Gatorade never wanted anyone to see. The report Angel hinted she has screenshots of. The report that could expose the entire corporate strategy against her. And Angel? She knows exactly what she's doing. She ended her last story with, "Should I show y'all what they really said?" Angel Reese sat on the edge of her bed with her phone glowing in her hand, staring at the message she had typed, but hadn't posted yet. Millions of fans were refreshing her page every few seconds, waiting for the moment she decided to press share. Gatorade executives were sitting in emergency Zoom meetings. PR teams were drafting pre-written apologies. Sports networks were clearing time slots for breaking news coverage. Because everyone knew exactly what Angel was holding in her camera roll: the final report. The one Gatorade thought would never leave their internal servers. The one that explained the real reason Angel Reese was blacklisted. And if Angel posted it, it wouldn't just expose bias. It wouldn't just embarrass Gatorade. It would expose the entire sports marketing system. Angel took a breath. Her finger hovered over the button. But she didn't post. Not yet. Because she knew once she did, there was no going back. Meanwhile, the internet was melting down, piecing together every rumor, every leak, every screenshot. And then, another twist detonated the conversation. A WNBA reporter claimed the final report wasn't just about Angel's brand unpredictability. It contained a section labeled "Projected Cultural Shift Risk." Nobody knew what that meant. So, of course, everyone assumed the worst. And some said it meant Angel's influence was too strong. Some said it meant executives feared she'd change the culture more than they wanted. Some said it meant Angel wasn't the stereotype brands wanted to promote. But the truth was darker than anyone guessed. Because right as the theories hit their peak, another leak surfaced, this time from someone inside the advisory firm that wrote the report. The message was short, cold, and terrifying. "You're not ready for what's in that file." Fans froze. Creators stopped mid-video. Sports podcasts scrambled to go live. Everyone waited for Angel to reveal it. But instead of posting, Angel dropped something else. A 4-second screen recording. Scrolling. Quick. Blurry. But one line was captured clearly enough to send shockwaves through the entire sports world. Reese's influence may overshadow legacy-tier athletes. I consider containing narrative trajectory. Overshadow. Contain. Narrative trajectory. This wasn't about risk. This wasn't about unpredictability. This wasn't about controversy. This was about control. They were afraid Angel Reese would become too big, too culturally dominant, too influential, too powerful, too uncontrollable for the corporate machine that wanted one face, Caitlyn, and one narrative they could shape. Angel didn't say a word in the post, no caption, no emojis, just the video. The internet lost its mind. Oh, they were trying to limit her rise. Angel wasn't rejected, she was suppressed. This is racism plus corporate gatekeeping plus narrative engineering all in one. They wanted Caitlyn safe and Angel contained. Sports commentators who usually avoided controversy jumped into the chaos. One WNBA analyst said, "I've been in meetings like this. I've heard this language. They don't want athletes. They want puppets." Another said, "Angel Reese is a threat because she doesn't need approval to trend. Brands hate that." But then came the twist that flipped everything upside down. A source close to Gatorade broke silence and explained why Caitlyn Clark got the $50 million instead of Angel. It wasn't Angel's market risk. It was her ability to shift culture faster than corporations could keep up. Shift culture. That phrase started trending instantly. People finally understood. Caitlyn Clark represented expansion. Angel Reese represented transformation. Brands love expansion. They fear transformation. Because expansion earns money. Transformation changes power. Caitlyn Clark became the face of women's sports. Angel Reese became the force behind a cultural renaissance. And only one of those roles could be controlled. But it wasn't over. Because just when it seemed like Angel was ready to drop the full final report, another voice entered the storyline. Caitlyn Clark. Not through a statement, not through a post, not through a press conference, through a DM sent privately to Angel, which a trusted insider leaked hours later. "I want you to release it. People need to see the truth." Caitlyn wasn't protecting Gatorade. She wasn't protecting her deal. She wasn't protecting the system that handed her the spotlight. She was standing with Angel. And that changed everything, because the narrative was no longer Caitlyn versus Angel. It was Caitlyn plus Angel versus the corporations that tried to divide them. Gatorade executives panicked harder than ever. If Angel posted that report and Caitlyn publicly agreed with her, Gatorade would face a scandal no brand could recover from. Reporters started hunting for the strategist behind the advisory language. Fans began boycotting Gatorade products. Athletes from multiple leagues demanded transparency. One major sports journalist tweeted, "If that full report drops, we might see the biggest corporate backlash in women's sports history." And then, at 2:47 a.m., Angel Reese went live. Hundreds of thousands of people joined instantly. The comments were moving so fast the screen blurred. Angel looked tired, calm, determined. She held her phone up, the final report open on her screen. Everyone held their breath. Then Angel said, "You want the truth? The real truth?" The comments exploded. "Yes, drop it. Do it, TT. We're ready." Angel took a long breath. "This file explains everything they think I am, everything they think I'm not, everything they never wanted y'all to know." She scrolled. The report was right there. Visible, real, explosive. Then she said the last words before ending the stream abruptly. "But if I post this, it won't just hurt them. It might hurt women's basketball." Click. Live ended. Screen went black. And the world was left hanging on the most excruciating cliffhanger imaginable. What is in that report? Who wrote it? Why did they fear Angel's rise? And how long before she finally reveals the full truth? Did Angel Reese really just expose the biggest hidden machine in women's sports? Or did she open the door to something even bigger? Because what we witnessed wasn't just drama. It wasn't jealousy. It wasn't rivalry. It was revelation. And a superstar finally shining a light on the systems that choose who gets elevated, who gets sidelined, who gets branded as safe, and who gets labeled as unpredictable, all before athletes even step onto a professional court. And right now, you, yes, you, are part of the investigation. Your voice, your comments, your pressure, your questions. They are what force corporations to answer for what they've done. So here's what I want you to do. Comment below. Do you think Angel should drop the full report? Should she post everything and let the world see the truth? Or would that damage the sport more than it helps? Comment your theory. What do you believe is inside that report? Racial bias, corporate manipulation, pre-selected narratives? Or something so explosive that Angel hesitated to release it? Like this video if you think Angel deserves a massive deal of her own. Not as a side character, not as a backup plan, but as a main face of the sport she helped elevate. Subscribe because the next chapter in this saga is going to be even more insane. And trust me, leaks like this don't appear once. They come in waves. And if Angel actually drops the entire report, if Caitlyn publicly backs her, if Gatorade tries to spin the narrative, we will be right here breaking every detail down. This isn't over. This isn't resolved. This isn't the end. This is the quiet before another earthquake. So turn your notifications on, because when the truth finally drops, it's going to change everything.